Today's story is both shocking and complicated, taking not just a year, but nearly a decade to find any justice. It's about a 21-year-old nun whose brutal murder in 1992 was finally solved after 28 years in December 2020. This is the story of Sister Abhaya. Sister Abhaya slept as usual that night of March 26, 1992, and set her alarm clock to wake up the next morning before daybreak to study. She had no inkling it would be the day everything would shake and rattle the serene atmosphere of the convent forever. It dawned when the first light peeped through the blinds of the convent, but what shook was when it realized Sister Abhaya was missing. Absence turned to alarm very soon when the other nuns found the kitchen to be in utter chaos: an open water bottle, some water on the floor, and a slipper lying there alone. They looked frantically in all possible directions as their hearts filled them with a foreboding sense of dread. When they reached the well at the convent, they made a sight that was heart-wrenching, for Sister Abhaya's body floated there lifeless. The waves throughout the community had known her warmth and laughter just hours previously as a report of her death. Policemen on the scene were compelled to initiate an investigation led by Officer V.V. Augustine. During the autopsy, disturbing signs were detected: cuts, bruises, and a head injury. However, the officially established cause of death was deemed as drowning, marked as suicide. Why should a chaste and studious young girl take life in this horrible way? There was nothing much to explain it, and murder and a cover-up would start whispering down the street. As the probe went along, it gradually lost its track, getting mired into suspicion and intrigue. It was shifted to the crime branch, then to the Central Bureau of Investigation, in the wake of public outcry demanding answers. But years go by, probe after probe, and no result, leaving the community in limbo, with this tangle hanging in the minds. The silence, a lack of closure, weighed heavy on the mind of both those who knew Sister Abhaya personally, and those who were only moved by justice at her story that I in a twist of drama. Years later, a witness finally emerged from the dark: the petty thief Akhur Raju. He confessed to being in the convent that very night Sister Abhaya disappeared, having at the time gone there to steal, which was overtaken by the chilling scene that he did see. According to Raju, Fire 2 priests and Sister Sephi were acting suspiciously: Father Thomas Kato and Father Jose Puthrikale. His testimony was, of course, risky, but gave hope to what would otherwise remain a cold case. Yet instead of tracking them, the police started suspecting Raju's character and took him into custody for the murder. It was far too convenient to script a thief in the act, catching the witness off guard, but Raju wouldn't be broken. Despite extreme pressure and alleged torture, he stood by his innocence. Honesty and determination reinfused life into the investigation, and the light shone back onto the priests and Sister Sephi. Months went by when dope tests of suspects were conducted by CBI. Miraculously, results began to change. One more shadow over the investigation. Alteration further added suspicion over personnel who have been wielding power, and to what extent they go to cling to some of them. Just when all hopes seemed futile, original recordings came up in public domain and found damaging evidence against Father Thomas Kato and Sister Sephi. Revelatory revelations indeed. Sister Abhaya got wind of a secret too sensitive: the compromising position of the priests and Sister Sephi. Before she could run out of there and divide the secret to the others, they attacked her, sealing her fate. The narco tests revealed details of that fateful morning. The role of the community towards seeking the cause of justice in Sister Abhaya cannot be forgotten at all. That it was firmly believed in and held to by her that kept the case alive, pushing against the inertia of time and institutional silences. Had she been spared, this would have been a story in the making. Sister Abhaya rallying for reform, mobilizing efforts to draw more accountability from the elite in power. Sister Abhaya lives in the hearts that refuse to let this memory fade, driving change for the world that desperately needs it. It is the broader context of the case, which describes the social issues of raising voices for wrongdoings about powerful institutions. Culture, in itself, reminds one to be vigilant and accountable about such wrongdoings so that justice doesn't get overpowered. Sister Abhaya's story proves to be a microcosm for the universal struggle against corruption and this quest for transparency. That is the saga of how much power community and unity may bring, making a lot of differences through the strength of collective voices raised to demand justice. Change, no matter how slow, is inevitable with fierce determination and grit. Closing this chapter, we draw from the story of Sister Abhaya lessons learned. We vigil upon injustice and are courageous for truth. And thus, we don't only pay homage to Sister Abhaya, but to all those who silently suffered. Her story has to be a beacon of hope. Let us think about the legacy of Sister Abhaya and promise to be the change we wish to see in this world, so that her fight may not go to waste. Portraying desperation and betrayal as they came down on her with an axe and buried her body in the well. Hoping to entomb their trespass, IT was a long-drawn courtroom drama with conflicting testimonies, fiery media scrutiny, and the demands of the community for justice against one man. It also symbolizes the strength of the battle for greater transparency and accountability in mighty institutions. In 2020, nearly 28 years after her insinful death, the Kerala High Court gave its verdict. Father Thomas Kadawar and Sister Sephi's sentence to life imprisonment testify to these relentless efforts for truth and justice. Sister Abhaya's is a story far removed from the trammels of just any murder mystery. She epitomizes strength and resilience because it is in her silent voices that find resonance in a community doggedly searching for the truth. Justice may be delayed but not denied, as Sister Abhaya reminds one poignantly. This is the way you reflect on this haunting saga if you think of it in terms of power to swim against the tide and power in one voice standing up for what is right. It's a story that provokes questions, answers, and not turns away from the truth. That if it touches your heart or you feel it deeply about justice or truth, then don't keep it to yourself. Give love to the relentless search for justice by liking this post. Share this with your family and friends so that this might go viral about the story of Sister Abhaya and the bigger issues of this true story. Subscribe to our channel for more important stories that inspire change.